Greetings to everybody out there. My name is Lawrence Sandler with 3D Crystal and Cockpit 3D. And for today's session, I thought I would try to address a recurring common question that I keep getting from you folks out there. And that's to do with how to go about buying an appropriate laser for 3D crystal subsurface engraving. So I thought I'd pin down Riaz for today's session and try to get some answers and some clarity around that. There's lots of choices. There's the $15,000 machines, there's the $70,000 plus machines, and then everything in between, and then warranty issues, and how am I going to figure out how to use it, and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Riaz and see if we can get some clarity around that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lawrence. And it's actually good that you're choosing to talk about this in this session, because I think I've had many conversations where I've had to repeat the same thing over and over again. So hopefully this video will help all of those people out there anywhere in the world that are looking to get a laser machine. So as you mentioned, Lawrence, you're right. There are machines that are available at $14,000, and there's others that go up to 70,000 plus. And the question really becomes, why is that machine 14,000? What am I getting different from a $14,000 machine than a $70,000 machine? And for those of you that think 14,000 sounds like a lot, just to give you some perspective is that when we first started this industry, a laser machine would go for maybe around $140,000. And that laser was restricted for speed, restricted for the size that it could do. So $14,000 in today's world seems like actually a very low and fair cost for a system that does what it does. But to explain, I guess, the difference is, first of all, a $14,000 machine will still burn inside crystal. It just depends on what your need is for the machine. So if you're looking to do this as a hobby, you're an artist and you just enjoy the art of burning into glass, and you're not so dependent on this machine for producing for an actual business, then a $14,000 machine is equivalent to, for example, buying a $1,000 or $2,000 3D filament printer. Okay, those simple printers in the home that your kids would maybe use to do some experiments to learn about 3D printing. So in subsurface laser engraving, that's the equivalent of the $14,000 machine. The parts in the machine are not the most robust, meaning that you won't get the best accuracy when it comes to table alignment. The tables won't be able to handle very heavy pieces of crystal without being damaged easily. The motors there's different types of motors, steps and servos, and so the motors that are used in the cheaper machine, again, are more prone to breaking down quicker, especially when you're putting larger pieces of crystal on the table. And then, of course, you have cheaper parts in the laser head itself. So what's a laser machine? A laser machine has multiple parts. It's got the laser head, which we call the heart of the machine, where the laser is shooting from.
Is that the diode? Because I'll get that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
within the laser head is where the diode is. And so that's shooting out a laser. And it has to pass through within the laser head. There's another crystal, not the crystal that you're burning in, but there's actually, think of it like a diamond or a prism inside that laser head. That we refer to it as a frequency crystal. And that crystal will have a certain life to it, and it can only sustain a certain amount of power. What I'm saying is that you have the laser head, which is one part. The frequency crystal, the quality of it is also contingent on the amount that you're spending on the machine. And then you've got your beam expander, which expands this laser beam that comes out. And again, the quality of it and the kind of power that it can handle is contingent on the amount that you're spending. As the beam expander wears out, the quality of the engraving also goes down significantly, and it's almost very, very difficult to make out what's being burned. Then you've got your lens and your scanner, and that's where the laser beam is coming through, and the mirrors, or the galvos, we refer to them as, are flickering, and the laser is essentially bouncing off and burning inside the crystal. And even the calibration of that scanner and the quality of it is affected by the type of laser that you buy. So essentially, these are the kinds of things that then influence not only the quality of the crystal that you're burning, and today it's not just about creating a 3D crystal, it's about creating an HD 3D crystal, a high definition or high resolution, nice, dense 3D crystal. And to do that, especially if you're competing as a business, you really will care about the quality of the machine that you're purchasing. And when you buy these lower cost machines, again, they're good if you want to do some hobby related projects. But if you're looking to really run a sustainable business and push crystals out and have a reliable machine that won't easily break down on you, that's the risk that you take when you're buying a cheaper $14,000 machine.
And the other question I get a lot, regardless of the machine, does it need special temperature conditions, like the old computer rooms that needed to be cooler? Are there any requirements from that standpoint that people should consider?
Laser machine is very similar to a human, so it likes room temperature. If you're going to put it in a venue where it gets humid and very hot, it will overheat the machine. The machine will not perform. Similarly, if you're going to put it in an environment where it's cooler, then the quality of the burn will also not be as striking or as bright. So definitely you want to put it in a environment that's not humid, because you don't want humidity within the components of a laser machine. But you would want to keep it in an office environment, in a home environment. Many people will put a laser in their living room or in their basement, if you have a basement entrance, because these are heavy as well. So to take them down the stairs and stuff is a challenge. If you put it in your living room, a lot of people do definitely do that in their homes as well.
That reminds me of another question that I get a lot. There's the mall operator, for example, who wants to have the laser at the mall by day and then bring it home by night, and then maybe bring it to a pop-up situation on the weekend. And I always remembered you telling me lasers don't like to be moved. Can you speak to that?
That's correct. I mean, it's very easy to come up with a business model at the beginning on paper where you say, I'm going to take it to a festival or a trade show. I'm going to take it to an event. A lot of people think of these ideas, but we've been there. We've tried and tested it. And for the risk of moving a laser machine from one venue to another, that is, first of all, really too much of a risk to make it worth its while. Lasers, rely on alignments. And if you're off by even 1 millimeter, it will be noticeable in the crystal. So it's not a good idea to move it. Besides that, I mentioned earlier that they're very heavy. So, it's not simple to move a machine. And even if you buy, a smaller rendition of a machine, they're still very heavy and they're still fragile. But not only that, if you really, really figure this out and you say, okay, I'm going to take a machine to a venue and you're going to take all the crystals to that venue, you have to kind of figure out, how many crystals are you able to produce in an hour at that event? And if an event lasts 2 or 3 hours, how many crystals are you really going to be able to produce on site to make the revenue worth its while? And so the way that most people do this is that locally, if you're called to do, let's say, for example, a wedding reception, what many people will do is they will keep the laser at home or at their office, and they'll have a second person loading that laser. Now, what they will do is they will be at the venue. And when they're at the venue, they'll either be using a 3D scanner. If you're interested in 3D scanners, by the way, just reach out to Lawrence, because we do offer solutions for 3D scanners. But they'll take a 3D scanner on site. They'll take instant 3D scans. They'll be connected to Wi-Fi, where the person at the office or at home will be downloading the 3D files and burning them. And then they will Uber them back or drive them back themselves to the event before it's over. So that's a good way to handle local business. As far as the mall is concerned, it really depends. There's 2 ways of thinking on this. The first is that you want to keep it at the mall because you want to be able to cater to that customer that wants it on the spot. And so if you have well-trained staff that are able to manage the production side along with the sales side, then that's fine. Then you can actually keep it at the mall and it becomes a part of the experience where the customer sees that laser burning, because I know at least with the 3D laser box, we have a nice transparent door that they've manufactured, and the customer is able to see that crystal burning through that filtered door. However, the disadvantage of this is you don't want your staff to be so focused on production that they're now not focusing on new people that they can be selling to, right? So you have to keep this in mind. Even at malls that we are running, many times we will not have a laser there. It can only be justified if really it's a tourist venue where you're gonna absolutely not sell because that tourist is flying out or leaving right away. That's a different story, such as along the strip in Vegas, where our stores there will have, you know, a laser on site. But if this is a mall, many times the mall operator will actually keep their laser at home. They'll take orders from not just one kiosk, but they'll actually expand to have mall locations, various kiosks in various malls. And all these orders will then be processed at home when they get home, throughout the night even, and then sent back to the mall the next day. So, you know, most people that are buying in a mall are buying it knowing that it's going to be ready in, you know, in a few days, not same day. And because of that, you know, to be able to produce everything in one central location is a huge benefit for being able to also run this from home in the evening and continue the production even when you're not at the mall. So, yeah.
Great, great. Okay, I've got 3 more questions that I'm going to try to squeeze into this session. So I'm going to press ahead here. The other question I get a lot, you know, people, you know, the internet's a wonderful thing. So they start shopping for a laser and they come to the realization that brand new lasers are not manufactured in North America. You know, they're coming from overseas, you know, whether it's Europe or Asia. So if there is a, let's say a gently used or newly calibrated, or, you know, a machine that's already in North America that's been kind of burned in and calibrated and tested, you know, so the shipping's been paid and any duties and tax have been paid. Should people be afraid of a gently used machine? Because I know I've heard you say many times before, I like used machines because I know they work.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like a brain. You know, if you had a choice of buying a brand new brain or a used brain has knowledge in it, right? And so it's kind of an inverse you know, strategy to when you're buying a car, for example. However, the answer to your question is that it really depends. You know, if you're buying from a reliable company, so, you know, as most of the people that you've spoken to know now, is that we've converted our fleet over to the 3D laser box for several reasons, which maybe we can get into specifics on the 3D laser box in another episode. But it really depends, because if you're going to buy a brand new machine from a company that is not the one that we're buying from, then what we found is that they're good at testing it to make sure that it works, but they're not good at testing it with sustainability to confirm that it's going to continue to work and produce that quality over a longer period of time. That's the reality, okay? Because when a factory creates the laser, what are they checking for? They're checking for the positioning. So is the origin correct? Meaning that it's going to start burning at the right position. And is it burning a good quality crystal? And usually what they'll do is they'll burn it into like a crystal that's this size, right? And small crystals are so easy to produce. It's when you need to burn into a large crystal, that's the challenge. So what I would say is that if you have an opportunity to buy a used laser, you can definitely reach out to us, because we do have a service where, what do you call it, Lawrence?
Well, it's basically we can help you test any laser remotely. We can send you know special files for a standard def and a high def test to the laser owner. And if the laser owner doesn't want to cooperate, well, guess what? You don't want to buy that laser. So it's a way to make sure the power settings are good. We'll also verify the parts and other things based on the serial number. So we can do a bit of a kind of like when you take a used car to a mechanic to give it a physical or a once over. We can help you do that remotely if you do find a used machine out there.
So that's one option if you want to you know, kind of reduce your risk of a used machine. The second thing is that if you reach out to us, there are times within the year where we will actually have a calibrated machine that we can flip over if you're interested in the 3D laser box. Again, the benefits of the 3D laser box are immense. It's an entire other episode. So, we should perhaps create an episode on the 3D laser box specifically. But if you were looking to buy the 3D laser box, we might, at certain parts of the year, have a newly calibrated one local, in which case those we could discuss selling that over to you. The main benefit in purchasing it locally would simply be that it was calibrated. You'd still get the warranty out from the manufacturer, and that you're getting it with local shipping as opposed to bringing it from abroad, and you're also getting it faster. So yeah, that's my take on a used machine is that you don't have to shy away from it, but I think you should do your due diligence to make sure that you're checking it properly. We can help with that, and then go from there. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I got two more that are going to squeeze in for this session.
Yeah.
The next question that I get a lot is, no matter where a machine's purchased from, I keep hearing this from folks, you're lucky if there's a manual. And if there is, you're lucky if it's in English. Sure, there's warranty from a parts failure and an operational perspective on a best effort basis. Usually there's time zone challenges and language challenges. Where can people get training out there, and get help to get going? Because the manufacturer, they're great at making the machine and all that, but they're not maybe so good at teaching you how to use it.
Well, the issue is this, is that, okay, so first of all, you started off talking about 14,000 versus 70,000. I just want to be very clear that you do not need to be spending $70,000. I am saying be very cautious if you're spending 14,000, but there are solutions in between. The 3D laser box, for example, we get is in between, right? So, somewhere around the $30,000, $35,000 price point, you can get a good, well-performing laser, which is still significantly less than when we first started this industry at the 140, 150,000 that these machines would sell for, and they wouldn't even do a third of what the new machines do. So, you don't need to be spending $70,000. Now, Lauren, sorry, what was the specific question that you just asked?
Getting training,
right?
Learning how to use it. Sure, someone can struggle and fight and do it the hard way, but to expedite the learning curve, where can people get help out there?
So this is why I make this effort, right? Is why are we doing this very video right now, where it's almost like someone can be sitting as a fly on the wall and listening to you and I in this conversation right now and get all this knowledge. And that's exactly why I'm doing it, is because, look, I've been there and I've done it. I started this 20 years ago, and thankfully, we did okay. We built the industry, we expanded this globally, and we've done very, very well. And there's no reason why, there's no shortage of business. There's no reason why new entrepreneurs cannot do the exact same thing. And so what I wanted to do, which maybe competitors that are in this industry might not be an entire fan of, is I thought, why not share the secrets? Why not show and share the learnings that's going to help new entrepreneurs, those people that want to break out of the golden handcuffs of employment and actually start their own business and succeed and put food on the table for their families, doing something they love, and something that is good, and so that's why I'm doing this. That's my cause. We have Cockpit 3D. Why are we offering 3D conversions at just a few dollars? I mean, is it profitable for us in terms of, is it worth our while? Well, it's giving 3D artists the opportunity to have a job and do what they love that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. From just a team of 3 artists now to over 200 3D artists modeling for laser operators around the world. So to answer your question is that in terms of learnings, you've got our YouTube channel, and I'm going to make an effort, and I'm going to continue providing an effort to educate the industry on the lasers. Of course, our knowledge on the 3D laser box is significant, so a lot of the videos will be around that to help owners of that. But they have an open line of communication to our organization to reach out, to book us, to speak with you, to speak with our team. And if they choose to even book some time with me. And I'm always very, very happy and excited to talk about and share learnings.
Great. All right. I've got one more question. Can you give me permission to share? Because there's a visual here that I need to I need to show.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Right, you can try.
All right, great. So let me share my screen for a sec here. Okay, so this is an actual image that was sent to me from one of our customers that uses us for our conversion services. They have their own lasers, and they also have a license. They pay an annual license fee they run Cockpit 3D as well to help them on their end. But here's what happened. They kept getting the results on the right. They ordered the file from us, and we sent a new file just to make sure that the file wasn't corrupt. They kept getting these results. They tried adjusting things on their own, but they couldn't seem to get a better result. It looks like the laser is actually broken. So they contacted me and said, look, can you get Riaz on a consult, on a Zoom meeting to check our power settings? Just, we don't even know what to look for at this point. So if you recall, we did do that session. Everything looked good on the laser. So it wasn't a laser issue. And then you suggested, hey, Lawrence, get them to get just one small box of our blank crystals. So I get these questions all the time. K9, A1, A2, A3, which obviously implies grade or level or quality. So, I get these questions all the time. Are all raw materials made the same? So where I'm going with this is, obviously the result on the left, same laser, same file, same everything. The only difference was the blank that came from us versus the blank they had sourced from, I don't know, it was Alibaba or elsewhere. So can you speak to that? I'll leave the image there for people to look at. And
sure, yeah, no, thanks for bringing this up. Actually, it's a very, very powerful image. And this talks to the point of doing your homework very well, because what many manufacturers will do, everybody feels smart when they go to Alibaba and they find the $14,000 machine. Oh, I found a secret. Or they find the supplier that's selling them raw material for $1 less. And they're like, oh, good. I found a secret. I'm not going to share anybody the information of my supplier. Look, there's no secret. These days, everybody knows the factories. Everybody knows the manufacturers. Everybody knows what lasers are available. They all know. There's just a handful of factories that manufacture optic crystal. Everybody else is just a sales agent. Although they won't tell you it, they'll say that, oh yeah, it's my dad that runs it, or it's my brother that runs the. It's not. There's just a few manufacturing companies that cut the slabs. We are one of them in China that we have we're shareholders in it. And there's a few others. And then most sales agents will then go on to Alibaba, set up an account, and try and resell product to you. Okay, so what you're going to get as a sample is the best quality glass that you're going to love, and then you're going to say, okay, I'm ready to order 1,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces. And that's when you're screwed, because what happens is that when they're cutting slabs, there's going to be parts of the slab that have inclusions in the glass. And so those are like the little air bubbles. That's problem number one, is being able to get crystal that have as few inclusions as possible. Because if there's an inclusion in the crystal, remember, you're not surface engraving, you're subsurface engraving, meaning that your laser beam is having to go through the glass. And when that beam hits that little air bubble, it's not going to burn at that spot. So now the person's going to end up with a spot on their face, essentially. And so you're going to have to remake it. That's not what happened here, by the way, but I'm giving you one example of an issue with crystal when you're sourcing it blindly, okay, is the inclusions in the crystal. The second problem with crystal is something that you won't notice with the naked eye, but it's actually the polishing on the surface of the crystal. So crystals cut, crystals sanded, crystals shaped and beveled. You'll notice the bevels on the edges of the crystal that we sent on the left. If you look closely, you'll see there's like a 3 or 4 millimeter bevel or facet, versus the other one has a sharp edge. So this is part of the process in beautifying the crystal, making it less prone to cracking when it touches a corner surface. And then you've got polishing. Now, when it comes to polishing, you're never going to notice with the naked eye. So when you take that crystal out of the box and you put it in your laser, it'll look perfect. When the laser burns, the laser can see that the surface is not perfect. And so it's refracting the beam. And in this case, you can actually see the imperfections of the polish on the surface, where you see what looks like scratches in the image. Those are actually parts where the laser beam refracted. It hit that unpolished part of the glass and it bounced off. And so it never made it inside the glass. And that's why you don't see points there. You see what looks like a line, okay? So this particular laser operator was very worried because they kept getting bad quality like this on every crystal that they put into the machine. So the question is, we got a 3D conversion from Cockpit 3D. It looks perfect on our screen, so we don't see the issue there. The crystal looks perfect. We don't see the issue on the crystal. Therefore, it must be our $14,000 machine or our $30,000 machine or our $70,000 machine. In this case, guess what? It wasn't the machine. It was the crystal, because they took the exact same file and they burned it in the crystal that we provided them from our factory. And lo and behold, you can see the difference. So yeah, K9 doesn't mean that it's any superior in quality. It's just the material that's used in producing these crystals, right? They're known as optic crystal. They don't have any lead in them. They're all man-made, right? So if a customer asks, hey, what kind of crystal is this? It's not Swarovski. It's not real crystal. The value in this is what you're doing to the medium by changing the properties and customizing it to give value by the fact or by the way that it's got their image inside. That's the value in this product, not the medium. Okay. And that's why you're buying these for but a few dollars. Okay. So when you're buying your raw material, I would say be very, very careful. And that's why we actually made it part of our ecosystem to offer raw material. So whether you decide to purchase it from us here in North America, where it's already imported and can be at your location within a matter of days, or whether you decide to purchase it from the factory that's cutting the slabs, we'll put you in touch directly with our factory lead, and they can take care of you and providing you with very competitive pricing. But more importantly, crystal that is of a high grade and quality consistently.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's just do a quick recap, and then we'll wrap up the session. Looks like we have some juicy topics for candidates for next time. So just a quick recap. We talked about price point, the $14,000 laser, the $70,000 laser, everything in between. We talked about training. We talked about the fact that we're going to be putting up more videos to help with that. After sales service and warranty from the manufacturer, we can help augment that. We talked about raw materials. We also talked about sourcing a previously calibrated or used machine and how we can help you test it, or we can even facilitate you getting a machine when we turn over our fleet at certain times of the year. So these are all the things we kind of batted around today. Thank you, Riaz, for putting some clarity around a lot of these commonly asked questions. So we'll say good morning or good evening at that, and stay tuned. We're going to talk about our 3D laser boxes specifically. We're going to talk about our Cockpit 3D software, and we have a few other topics lined up. Thank you.
And if you found this helpful, please do subscribe to the channel. Send in your comments, click on the like button. It really encourages us to know that someone is watching and benefiting from this. It's not just about viewing it, but it's about learning from it and benefiting from it. And turn notifications on so you know every time that we release a new video or decide to go live. Thank you so much, guys.